Hello, Barmy Badger Army.
Hey, Badger Army.
Welcome. Now, this is going to be a slightly different episode as Nick's going to lead the charge on this, but we thought, why not do some extra content for you guys? As I've mentioned before, we are a Warlight channel. I'm not going to let things slip. We're going to be putting out as many vlogs and things like that to keep everyone entertained and happy and kicking whatsits as much as we can, because obviously it's important, you know, as a nation, if we're happy and we're smiling and British stiff upper lip and all that sort of stuff, we can get there. I think, you know, we haven't been tested with all this sort of stuff since like the world wars, and that's not even a joke. So the nation has not been tested with this sort of problem since the World War.
We've got a few generations who've probably, you know, never experienced this position where, you know, food isn't readily available, resources aren't readily available. So, you know, I think everyone is feeling the strain a lot.
So Nick is going to go through some important tips on how to deal with self-isolation, and I think that's important. I know obviously I'm usually the comedy guy and he's the straight guy, so we're going to go for that, and I think it's important. Obviously I'll be bouncing off and saying some bits and pieces, and obviously I like to put in my 10 pence worth here and there, because I'm not just a comedy guy. I enjoy putting in my serious points when I can, but I feel that Nick is the man for this job. So go ahead, Nick, tell us some different bits and pieces and some tips for someone who is going to go into self-isolation due to the coronavirus.
I think the main thing you need to do when you go into isolation, first thing is make sure you've got everything you need. Make sure you've got food. Make sure you've got enough resources and things like that.
This is true, yeah.
So make sure that you've got things available to you, because that does a lot of good for your state of mind.
I mean, as we mentioned before as well, maybe rationing as well could be a thing, but you've got to do that sensibly, because you don't want to be hungry.
Indeed.
That's the thing. You've got to make sure you're sensible when you're rationing, because otherwise, if you're hungry, you know, that's not going to help your mental health. Sorry, carry on.
Next thing is plan schedules, but don't be too precise. It's a good idea to say, right, I'm gonna have lunch at this time, I'm gonna watch a TV show at this time, but at the same time, don't worry if you have something a bit late. You know, you don't have to throw everything out the window just because you end up doing something a bit late. So, you know, plan your day as much as you can. Write down to-do lists. To-do lists are brilliant. They're something that I often feel that I don't do enough. But you know, you suddenly think, oh, I've got to do this and this and this. But
yes, and it gives everything a purpose and a plan.
Right. So yeah,
it's all
write down
part of the plan.
Write down to-do lists. Have whether it's post-it notes, which I quite like doing, or writing things in your phone. So I think that's.
I don't like post-it notes because the sticky bit goes off too quick. But go on.
But at the same time, I mean, you don't even have to stick it up anywhere. You can just have it on kind of like the top of the reel of post-it notes and put that somewhere where you can easily access it.
Okay, that's an interesting idea.
So that will be good as well. I think you know, you will find that you have a much clearer mind when you've got a list of things to be doing, and you're not suddenly thinking of, oh, I need to do this and this and this.
That's very true. Actually, that's an important point.
Which is a really good thing to have. Organise breaks for yourself.
Yes, that's interesting.
You know, you don't have to be doing stuff all the time. I mean, meditation, you can do guided meditation. I certainly recommend it if you've never done it before.
100%, yes.
It's one of those things where it's not going to solve everything,
no.
but it's a good thing. But it is a good thing to have. And meditation, really, it's just kind of like putting thoughts to one side and just being aware of yourself in the moment. There's a really good. There was a really good meditation a couple of years back, just before exams, that a former colleague of ours, Casca, did. And really, meditation.
Check her on Facebook.
Yes, do check out Casca Graham on Facebook and other places where she does as well. A really good thing that it's really just kind of like whether sitting down, lying down, and just being aware of kind of like each body part in turn.
Yes.
You know, and just kind of like, it's known as a body scan, and something like that is really good. And also, you know, paying attention to your breath. You know, just kind of like breathing in, and breathing out. You know, count as you breathe in and out. That's something that really helps as well.
But that will take a lot of skill. I've done that for about a year, and I still find that quite hard. So
I've been
that
doing
will
it
take
even longer, and I still find it.
Yeah, that will take quite a lot of hard. Also, adding on to your bit where you were saying about identifying the body parts within your body, I would definitely say if it helps, and this definitely helps sad sufferers, imagine a bright sun-like light travelling down the different body parts when you can. And also you should try yourself something called grounding, which does help me when I'm feeling quite down, and it helps you reconnect in with the earth. And that's basically imagining that your feet are tree roots and they're going down into the earth, and that does help calm you down and help settle you and make things a bit more clarified. These things will take practice. They won't often work 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, but they will start working once you practice them daily.
They do take practice, yeah. Don't beat yourself up if you really can't get it right first time. In fact, don't beat yourself up a couple of years down the line.
Don't beat yourself up at all. That's very bad.
You know, it's just something worth. You know, it's something that you've got to stick with. It's gonna be difficult a few times, but ultimately it's something worth sticking with. It's just when you need to say to yourself, stop. You know, and that is a really important thing. Now,
cool.
You can use guided meditation on your phone as well, and I would recommend getting one of the meditation apps. There's lots out there. I use Headspace and Calm, but other ones are available.
And there are ones available that are free as well. So please do obviously sign up to the free ones, especially if you're new to it. I would recommend a free one, because then obviously you don't want to pay out £50-60 and meditation is not for you. So please do obviously make sure that you practice free ones on YouTube and things like that, and then once you know you can do it and you like it, then buy one.
With Headspace, the first 10 days are free, and then you decide for yourself whether you want to buy a subscription after that. I often find even that just listening to like calming music, you know, chill out music.
Yes.
You know, and you can find lots of playlists for that on Spotify.
Yes.
YouTube has them a lot as well.
I like personally myself like the noises of calm. And this is actually, it sounds really weird, but the current climate is really nice for my brain. Like being able to hear birds tweeting, being able to hear all the different animal noises is really helpful. And that's what helps me a little bit, is being able to hear nature and reconnect with nature. And these different times, you know, although we're not going to be going out so much, there are different ways to connect with nature still. Like listening to what's going on around you a bit more.
And there's nothing stopping you from just like standing outside for a few minutes.
Especially if you have a back garden and things like that. And they do, even though it does mention about self-isolation, it does also mention about going for a nice walk in an uncrowded area. So obviously make sure it's not crowded, but make sure you stretch your legs and go out for a walk daily, because otherwise you're limiting your exercise and you're limiting your heart and you're limiting your body functions. So please do obviously make sure you go out for a walk and exercise daily in an uncrowded area.
That's on to the next point we're making, that exercise is important. It's not pure, and the thing is, exercise actually benefits you in a lot of ways. I know there's a lot of people who aren't huge fans of gyms, especially crowded gyms, but also
especially at this current time.
Yeah. But you know, home equipment that you can use and things like that. I mean, you don't always find that you get kind of like huge levels of positive endorphins that that people keep telling you. I don't necessarily get those.
I was going to say, you've found it quite tough, haven't you, at times, because you've wanted positive endorphins and they've not came along.
Yeah. Although the one thing I will say that has kept me going with exercise is that I sleep so much better as a result.
There you go.
Know, even if I'm only in bed for like 5 hours or something like that, which even that is a luxury to some people, you know. But when I sleep, I get good sleep. That is what I find, and I firmly believe that exercising helps that, because you do wear your body out.
And obviously, even with these sorts of times, and I'll just add in before we go, I would like to add that obviously creating a regular schedule, even for your sleep patterns, is good as well. Try not to stay up too late or go to bed too early. Just go and do your usual routine. If you go to bed at 10:30 at night or midnight till 6 or anything like, try to stick to your usual routine, because then you will feel better when we come out the end of this, and we will. Everything will eventually go back to normal. I'm sure.
There's a lot to be said for getting up early. I mean, if you normally get up at like 5 in the morning, and you might find that you don't necessarily have to on days when you're not working, you know, don't roll out of bed at 10. I've never been guilty of that.
My teenage years, I definitely used to get up at like midday and things like that.
Yeah,
Everyone's
so
guilty of that.
do try and do that. The other thing I will say is don't spend ages scrolling through your phone, particularly before bed, because bright lights and stuff from phones, laptops, TVs, the like. You do find that will make it harder for your brain to like calm down and get into a restful state.
I'm not guilty of this at all. No.
Don't bang your nose on the way out. What I would say is, at a certain time, turn off your phone. Or if you don't want to turn your phone off, put it somewhere where it's harder to reach. Where you've got to actively get out of bed to use it.
Yes.
Because I think that's something that I think we're all guilty of. And if you find it's 3 in the morning and you can't get to sleep, don't tell Facebook about it.
Exactly.
Because I know
everyone's going to be on there, so people will reply a lot. So obviously, what I would like to say is just a quick, a few more tips. Obviously, to deal with self-isolation, make sure you drink plenty of water. Make sure you keep to a regular routine.
Don't drink too much caffeine in the evenings.
Don't drink too much caffeine in the evenings. Try to only steer and have technology at certain times. And obviously, make sure you practice meditation, look after yourself, ration food. If you want to go for a walk, obviously make sure it's not a populated area, and all these different things. Nick, have you got any other ones you want to quickly add before we go?
That covers the majority of it. The other thing I would say is, with limiting scrolling time, it's not just before bed, even in the mornings, like first thing, it's not a good thing to do for yourself, because it can often put you in a kind of negative or just overwhelmed frame of mind.
Exactly.
So that really helps. A lot of people I've heard said that it's good to have something to eat as soon as you can after you get up. That's not going to be true for everyone, but if you do find that you're a bit hungry first thing, then do have something to eat. Don't necessarily put it off.
Exactly. There you go.
What works for you? Some people find that meditation first thing in the morning works. Some people would rather have something to eat first. So you can always use that to your ability. Find out what works for you. And just because something works for someone else doesn't necessarily mean it works for you, but take into account other people's perspectives. Don't be afraid to try different things. But if you find that you're really struggling with that, then revert back to what works for you.
There you go. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and say hi in the comments. And any other tips that you've got, please do share them in the comments, and we'll make another video when possible, adding in all the different bits and pieces. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope you found this video really helpful. See you next time. Bye!
Bye for now.
Mr. Slender, yes, bring me a dream, bum bum bum, do 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 do, that I've ever seen, bum 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 bum, please, your magic dream, Mr. Slendy, bring me a dream, bum 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 bum.